everybody.
Wait,
Another Monday night.
Hold on.
We're just saying hi. We're good.
And
All is well. Hey, everyone. We're going to get started here in another minute on our Be Free and Connected Monday night show. Moments away here. We're going to keep the anticipation. Oh, music, maestra. Oh, here's another one by Laura. It's loading. Everything that I do, my opinions are value. I'm not a waste of space. And if no one comes along, thanks for being here tonight, everyone. If you're watching us live on Facebook, go ahead and put that you're here live. Maybe leave a 1 in the comments and let us know you're on right now. And if you're watching in a replay later, maybe put a 2 and let us know where you're from. To love every inch of my body. I want to look at myself and know that I'm the most beautiful person in this entire room. All right, 8 o'clock. You guys ready to get this party started? Dr. L, how you feeling tonight?
Good.
All right. It might get really loud here in a second because I'm stopping our share. Welcome, everyone, to Be Free and Connected, our Monday night show. All right, we are bringing resources to you in your very own home or office. I know we had some people open back up today, so some people were in offices for the first time for a very long time. We just celebrated a fabulous Mother's Day weekend. Hopefully you got to celebrate the energy of Mama, whether your Mama's with you or you got to visit her or send her a card or visit her on Zoom, or maybe you're a mama and your kids got to visit with you, but we're happy to be connecting here tonight. So welcome. We have a very exciting lineup for you. Dr. L, anything you want to share before we jump right on in?
I just want to give another shout out to all the wonderful mothers out there. They're the ones that are the superheroes. They have the ability to change humanity's potential, basically, within one generation. So thank you all for all that you do, ladies. Thank you very much.
Yes. Well, perfect. That being said, one of my favorite mothers is going to lead us. Last week we had Yense Ranshwali, who was getting us moving with his Yogarati practices. And we love to start the whole evening off with some movement. Many of us might have been sitting at a computer all day long, or sitting at desks, or sitting, kids are in school, basic virtual school now. So we have Karen Gordon joining us, and Karen Faith, yay, she is going to show us a yoga move, and she's going to show us various different positions. Now, you guys might have seen Karen in a prior episode. She was in our kind of geriatric aging care corner. She is very, very multidisciplinary. She's got a lot of tools in her tool belt. One of them is that she is a trained yoga teacher. So she is going to give us a simple yoga pose and show us a bunch of different modifications. So Karen, take it away.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Dr. L. Thank you for everyone who's here. My intention was to have my youngest son, speaking of Mother's Day, be my assistant here and demonstrate on the floor. Funny enough, he's on his own Zoom meeting for a school program right now. So I'm going to show you both moves myself, and that is just fine. Right now, I'm in a seated position on a little bit raised. It can be very nice to have a pillow or a blanket to sit on if that's more comfortable. In oh, he might be coming down. In a crisscross applesauce, or what's considered easy pose, which isn't always easy for everybody, so please, there is no right or wrong. It's all good. What we're gonna do is, this whole program ended. We've got our person. Okay, this is my youngest, and he's gonna show us on the floor. Sit down. The pose that you're gonna see, this is Ilan, and he's gonna show us, I'm gonna show you from a seated position in a chair. I did a training after my yoga teacher training in adaptive movement for people who have mobility issues. Julie mentioned I work in geriatrics, and this is chair yoga can be very, very supportive for those who are not able to get down on the floor anymore. So what we're gonna do is, starting either on the mat in crisscross applesauce or easy seated position, I'm in a chair with both feet planted firmly on the ground. This is something that if you are at a desk all day would be a nice movement to get yourself a little bit stretched during the day. You can have your hands by your side or on your lap. And what we're going to do is a seated spinal rotation, taking your right hand to the right side of your chair, your left hand to your right knee, and you're going to pull in your belly and start by twisting at your navel, working your way up through your chest, rounding your shoulders back, looking over to the right, as is comfortable for your neck, and using the leverage of your left hand to your right knee, giving yourself a stretch through the left side body. Taking a breath in through your nose, holding it, and then letting it out again through your nose. And then on your next inhale, coming center. And again, taking a deep breath in through your nose. And if you want to clear it out through a loud, audible exhale, well, you can do that too. On your next inhale, we'll do the other side, coming to the left side, putting your left hand on the left side of your chair, your right hand to your left knee, and using again that leverage of your hand against your knee against your hand, pulling yourself to the left. As you pull in your belly, straighten your spine, roll your left shoulder back, and glance over in the direction over your left shoulder. Take an inhale here through your nose, and here you can exhale through your mouth. On your next inhale, you'll turn yourself to center. We'll do one sun salute by on our inhale, lifting our hands up, palms meeting center, gaze upward, bringing our hands back down to our heart center. I thank you all for joining me for this one chair pose demonstration. Namaste.
Yay! Oh my goodness. That's so good. Thank you for joining us. What was your son's?
Elon.
Elon, thank you. Great to have you. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask Karen? And possibly, if you're open for us putting you on the spot there, Elon.
Karen, I had a question for you.
Yes.
How long do you hold that pose, or what's typical for holding it?
Typically 3 to 5 rounds of breath. I didn't hold it that long just now, I realized, and 3 to 5 rounds of breath on each side is ideal. Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Great. Yeah, it's so valuable. I mean, I've been sitting all day today. I don't know about you guys, so just that little, and I practiced yoga this morning, but that is like to remember to do it throughout the day is so key. So thank you.
I always encourage people to notice what you notice and to be kind to yourself, because every time you go into a pose, it's going to feel differently, and notice what you notice. And you know, at one point in the day, it's going to feel really good to look over your shoulder and take in that deep breath. And you may find at another point that it's not quite the same, even side to side. We're not symmetrical. So it's all about having your experience and being very kind to yourself while you practice self-care.
Great. I love it. Well, and thank you. You also mentioned the adaptive piece. So thanks for showing it both what it could look like on the ground and then seated. I wonder too, because Dr. L, you work with a lot of expecting mommies, right? So is there a modification as far as twisting goes for our expecting mothers?
Well, for the most part, we work within their comfort zone, so we never push them. And if it's something that they haven't done before, it's not something that we ask them to do. Like if they are not physically fit, then we definitely don't ask them to do that.
Great.
And you can sit to the side and use both hands as leverage to twist like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Another variation.
That's a good point. Yeah, kind of like just so that you're getting that upper kind of thoracic rotation, not necessarily getting into the lumbar where the baby would be.
One of the things that I wanted to mention, especially when you're talking about things that have a breathing component, a meditative component, and yoga is definitely in that, and it's a whole body exercise, is that one of the things that it does is that it synchronizes the brain with the rest of the body. And that synchronicity is needed so that you can synchronize different parts of your brain. So if you're having difficulty focusing because there are too many tasks that need to simultaneously be processed by your brain, these kind of movements and activities, these meditative activities, usually will allow your body and your brain to get connected, and in turn allow your brain, the different parts, to get connected and be synchronized as well. So definitely great for focus as well.
Great.
Yes. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. Moving on, now that we've kind of warmed up our bodies a little bit, we get to hear from our musician this evening. So as we were coming in tonight, the music you heard playing in the background of our show is this artist right now, Laura Lite, and she is going to she's going to bless us with some of her musical renditions. I'll let her introduce her guest. Now, Laura, I know from a mastermind group. She is a brilliant artist. She's also an event coordinator. We're collaborating on some things. So she's a mixer, a DJ. And all things technical, music, aesthetic. This woman is the woman that you want on your team. She throws big parties, themed parties. Where were you? This is Orlando? Did you do something in Vegas at some point? I don't know. Like she throws like these huge themed block parties. So anyway, she's an amazing woman, and I'm so honored that you're joining us here tonight. Laura Lite, please tell us who you are a little bit and who your friend there is.
Yeah, thank you so much, Julie. I feel, honestly, thank you so much for that stretch, Karen, because I was like, ooh, got to feel good and loose. So honestly, you don't realize how much tension you store in your body. But I love music, and music has been definitely one of the passions of mine that I use to just create safe places, and a way for people to for me, is just like feel understood and feel accepted. And so a big message here, and what I really have been focusing, is just how music can be used as a weapon to battle loneliness. And so I really just want to create these spaces, and especially right now with everything that's happening, I've been putting together these beautiful live sessions on every Sunday called the Dreamlight Sessions. So if you guys are not doing anything on Sundays at 8 p.m., come join. It's just a way that we can come together through these hard times. And I think music, without you thinking, really is therapy. And it brings people together, and it changes you, and you just feel it on the inside. So for me, I'm just so passionate about healing. And a few songs that I want to sing for you guys today is just a story about that. And I'm going to be releasing some music later on this year, and there's tons of fun activities that I have planned. So I also love throwing parties and events, which I'm really excited, because we are getting some green lights on having some events starting May 23rd outside on the patio area. So we're trying to figure out how can we evolve through this time and create safe places. And I think really music and saying, hey guys, we have the distance, and we have all of the necessary tools to be able to create this safe place as we start to come back from this is really important. And so bringing people together, because I think right now we've been so divided, and I think right now connection through just like this tiny screen to be like, hey, you guys are okay. So a big thing right now is I want to sing for you guys live. And if you guys want to check anything, it's Laura Lite Music. So LauraLite Music. So on Instagram, on YouTube, Facebook, Laura Lite Music. So yeah, this one's alive, and this is my best friend Kevin. We make music together, and so he's here during quarantine with me. So I'm glad that I have my best friend here to play with me. So yeah. Yep. I don't want to apologize for everything that I do. My opinions are value. I'm not a waste of space. And if no one comes along, I'm still gonna go where I belong. I don't need nobody sleeping next to me. I want to not hesitate to speak, 'cause I have something to say. I want to love every inch of my body. I want to look at myself and know that I am the most beautiful person in this. Inside your room, I want to calm my shaking knees from my own anxieties. 'Cause I am worth it, I have a purpose, I am enough. 'Cause I want to love myself more than I used to. I want to pull myself together faster than I tear myself apart. I want to do things on my own and not feel so dang alone. 'Cause I know I'm already whole. I want to love every inch of my body. I want to look at myself and know that I'm the most beautiful person in this. Inside your room, I want to calm my shaking knees from my own anxieties. 'Cause I am worth it, I have a purpose, and I am enough. Oh, I am enough. Oh, 'cause it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. 'Cause it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. 'Cause I'm alive and I am breathing desperately. I am breathing, but it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But I'm not gonna stay that way. No, not today. We're not gonna stay that way. So that's a really big message for me, and I think music is just lullabies for us. So I want to make sure that right now in this moment we come together, because I think that that's the most important thing, that we not feel alone. So I want to thank you guys for this time, and again, if you're feeling alone, come join us, the Dreamlight sessions every Sunday. And thank you so much for everybody that's here today, because really it's us coming together that make this world feel less alone. Because if not, we could be stuck at home not trying to provide resources and tools for people to actually like say, hey, maybe this is a time where we can start working and feeling better and finding people that are going to help align with that. And financially, emotionally, physically, everything is important. So thank you so much, you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. That was beautiful. Appreciate you sharing your gifts with us, and your best friend, Kevin. Great for being here too. We have an aspiring singer songwriter in our midst here, another Laura. Any questions from our live audience here? Anybody that would like to say anything, or feel free to we've got these amazing musicians here with us, and if you guys are open to taking some questions. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah.
And we can wait till the end too.
How long have you been singing, Laura?
There you go.
Thank you. I think I know that if you ask my mom, since I was born, there's always been like a little like bird that sang everything. So I started singing in like my 4th grade choir. So I always been in choir and theater, and I always love like caroling. And for me, it's always just been like music has been everything in my whole entire life. And I love it because it's just like you're surrounded by people that want to just come together and use music as a way to just like, hey, we can have events and we can create spaces for people. So that has been what I really have loved about music.
Yeah, I can see that your love for music is really transparent on you. Congratulations. Awesome job.
I love the pictures behind you. I love it. I can't wait.
Oh, thank you. You'll get to know who they are in a minute.
That's right. Well, we could just segue there. It feels like the perfect segue. So we'll skip me and we'll jump ahead to you for now. And Dr. L, will you introduce our next guest?
Sure. I had this opportunity to meet this amazing person a couple of weeks ago, and I was so impressed after speaking to her that I said, you have so much to share. Her name is Alicia Mazari-Andersen, and she is a biologist and a nutritionist. She actually is a PhD, and she's passionate about teaching children how to create a healthy lifestyle through play. So there's just so much information, and she's been at this for such a long time, trying to make a difference in the kids' lives, and she speaks the kids' languages. So I definitely encourage all of our younger audience to really start tuning in and seeing what she's about to say, and then we'll go from there. So without further ado, Miss Alicia.
Thank you, Dr. L, for the introduction. Thank you. I love music too, Laura. So I was singing also since a very young age. Anyway, yeah, you get here. Let me introduce you to our friends, the ones that help us teach children. So here you have Snappy. Okay, Snappy is a P. Then it is Carrot Top, carrot, lady carrot. And then we have Body, which is a butternut squash. They came to be because we're all different. We're all different the way we look. We all have different bodies. We all like to eat different things. Oops, sorry, my computer is not plugged and I'm going to run out of batteries. So hold on a minute, okay? Yeah, great. Just when I was starting to talk. Oh, sorry about that. Life happens, right? See, we're all different and things happen all the time. So because we're all different and the way we eat, the way we metabolize the nutrients is also different. That's why we created these characters. And yeah, sure enough, they call me the puppet girl because you're going to find me on social media like this with my puppets around my head. And so we use them to teach kids how to eat better. How can you might be metabolizing nutrients a lot faster. So you might be like Carrot Top, or you might be metabolizing your nutrients a little bit more slow. Sorry, the other way. Fast, if you metabolize your nutrients fast, that means when you eat, you're always hungry, depending on what you eat. So you might be like our famous Snappy, or you might metabolize a lot more slowly. So you might be like Carrot Top, or you might be in between. That's why Body, it's called Body. So today they want to show you, where is the sugar hiding? Wow, have you ever thought about it? Everybody talks about sugar. Everybody talks about how sugar affects our immune system right now. And in reality, it's like, where is the sugar hiding? Did you know that there was sugar hiding? So what do you do when you want to go find sugar? Well, sometimes you need to wear glasses like me, or you might even use a magnifying glass, because I'm going to show you where the sugar is hiding. And when you learn where the sugar is hiding, it's like playing a detective game. And actually, we have a free resource for you called our detective game, because this is what happens. What happens is like, a lot of times what we actually do promote is we promote what we call real food that you can actually grab from the tree and put it inside your mouth. But not everybody has an apple tree in their backyards, right? A lot of times we go grocery shopping and we forget, we like the colors of the packages. So we buy packaged food, and the more colorful it is, the more you say, oh, this is so colorful, right? This is so colorful, and I'm going to buy a colorful package. And so when we say, we tell our kids, we recommend you eat like the rainbow. It doesn't mean that you're going to eat this package, are you? So one important thing is like, yeah, we look for rainbow, but we look for rainbow in real food, because real food gives us real nutrients. However, sometimes when we package something as human beings, it's very easy, and I'm just going to show you two little things about how to read a label. Everything that comes in a package, we call it foodish food, because it has been processed so much that it really doesn't have a lot of nutrients. But one important thing that you need to realize is that we find something called sugars. And sugars have to do with the size. For example, here, for 2 cookies, you eat 10 grams of sugar. So what does that mean? 10 grams of sugar. Anybody has any ideas? When you think about 4 grams of sugars in 1 teaspoon, when you have 2 cookies, you're having 2.5 teaspoons of sugar. The question is, do you eat 2 cookies or do you eat the whole package, right? And so sugar is kind of addictive because the more you eat, the more you want, and the more your body really craves it. And so the funny part is, like, we invite you to take your magnifying glass and to go look for how much sugar there is in the package. And we don't go into the detail because it's just so too much detailing here. But we want you to look at something else. Underneath that, it says ingredients. So you can look at the ingredients. And here's my question for you, okay? When you read at the ingredients, you might find things like artificial flavor. Artificial flavor. To make it more flavorful, what do? They add something that is artificial. What is it? I have no idea. And if you look into artificial, you're never gonna understand what that chemical is. So in reality, we want to buy things that are a little bit more, a little bit more nutritious, right? So I guess what? I went grocery shopping and I found pineapples. I'm like, yes, pineapples. I love pineapples because I grew up in Mexico. I grew up with fresh pineapples and very tasty ones. But I picked this up and I didn't read the label. And guess what? I came home and I said, these pineapples are way too sweet. So I looked in here, as I showed you, sugars. For every 6 pieces of this pineapple, there are 29 grams of sugar. Can you believe that? Now, if you're a good mathematician, and if you can do 29 divided by 4 in your head, what is that? It's 7 and a bit, right? You have 7 teaspoons of sugar for 6 pieces of this beautiful pineapple. So my question for you is, why do we buy things in a package instead of buying a pineapple? Right? Because it's a lot simpler to open a package and to eat it from the package. But in reality, do we really need packages? Probably not. And then I find people that tell me, I don't drink pop. I'm like, oh, good. You don't drink pop. The kids at school actually messed up my can of pop. Well, let me tell you something. Do you drink pop? Do you drink juice? This beautiful organic 100% juice, okay? Take a look at the amount of sugar in this pop. In this pop, it's 26 grams. Take a look at this one. This one has 19 grams. When you have juice, you'll have almost the same amount of sugar that is in Coke. Less other things, right? So in reality, what is best to drink? We take sugar and then sometimes we tell the kids, it's like, you take sugar. Yeah, we drink water. Yes, Julie, we drink water. So water is the way to go because sugar is hiding. So that's why we invite you to download our game, the detective game, in which we're going to give you a little bit more detail on how to read labels. But instead of reading labels, let's stop reading labels and let's eating real food and drinking water. So that's the message that our friends would like to pass on.
Awesome. Thank you, Alicia. We're going to have the link in the
Wonderful.
chat box for the guests, and we'll share it live on Facebook as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, awesome job. Thank you so much. It's true. I would even juice my own juice. I have a juicer at home, so I would get the apples and I would make my own juice, but I knew I would only put like half an apple to all of my veggies because it is high in sugar, even though it's naturally occurring. So
Yes.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and share next for our self-care corner. So thank you. Karen warmed up our bodies. Laura warmed up our ears, and maybe some of us were even dancing a little bit to her music. Alicia got to give us the sense of play while we also learn about nutrition and healthy eating. So I'm going to bring some self-care. A lot of us, including me, selfishly, I've been spending time in front of a computer. So when we spend time in front of a computer, I'm also a yoga teacher like Karen and a Pilates instructor, and I'm a licensed massage therapist. And I frequently work with people's bodies to put them back into what's called a neutral alignment, or homeostasis, you might call it. That's a big word for my kids watching. It basically means like a balance point. So think about anybody that stands on, like, if you can stand on one leg and you can get balanced, part of how we can do that is because our bones are lined up. Dr. L might be able to tell. He's in his former life, he used to be a chiropractor, right? So you know all about alignment, right? What happens, I'm going to turn to the side here. What happens is when we're sitting at a computer all day, and correct me if I'm wrong, we do this, right? We're kind of looking forward at the screen. You guys see my neck? That's my head is like literally going forward. The fancy name for this, Dr. Ellen, correct me if I'm wrong, it's protracted head syndrome. And protracted head syndrome does a lot of things. People that have headaches, they might not be coming from your head. Oftentimes, they're coming from your neck and your shoulders, because once ideally, well, we should have our shoulders back behind us like we're wearing a backpack. I call it like having your wings on your back. So our shoulders tend to round forward when we're at a computer all day, right? They're rolling like this. And then my head is reaching for the screen. And sometimes people don't have glasses, like if they need glasses, or they're looking at this tiny font, so they're squinting their eyes too. So there's like a triple whammy happening when we're at our computers all day. So a correction for this is thank you, Karen, for giving us that sideways stretch. And then once you've kind of twisted to the side, you want to just put your wings on your back and then bring your head backwards in space, so that your head, if I was going to have, oh, look, I have a yoga block. I was sitting on it. So ideally, you would have feedback. You would have your shoulders in line with your head. Now, some people, to put their head back, they have to go like this. They tilt their head back. Ideally, we move our head backwards from our jawline. So literally like where my ear thing is right here, right? So this, I want to move backwards in space from this point. So it's like this. So I'm not like tucking my chin like military neck. I'm not like dipping my head backwards just so I can feel my skull on the block. I want to move backwards in space from my jawline. So that's just to like check in every now and again. Sometimes I'll do that up against a wall. Not everybody has a yoga block that they happen to have it there. I actually sit on a yoga block on a chair because I sat for so long at an event that I actually bruised my thighs. I was like, all right, I'll be on a yoga block for the rest. Some people can use like those ergonomic chairs. Anyway, so check your neck. That's your self-care advice. And if you're sore, it's likely because you've been doing this and you have protracted head syndrome. So now, once you kind of bring everything back in space, you want to these little guys right here. You see, am I popping out there, Doc? Okay, good.
Yep, absolutely.
This is a muscle, and we'll give it its abbreviations. It's called SCM. And that stands for, anybody know the famous painting or the statue of David, right? You guys see the guy with his head like this way? I used to think this was a vein, and I was like, I can't touch that. That's a vein, or an artery or something. I had no idea, but this is actually a muscle. It's a muscle, and you can gently, lovingly, kindly massage this muscle. Now, I'm going to use caution, because in front of this muscle is your voice box, your larynx, your esophagus, there's a lot of your aortas in here. There's a lot of things in here that you probably shouldn't push on too hard. But if you come at it from the side, and you see how I'm kind of turning my head, and then I'm like checking, I'm like leaning to the side, that'll pop it out, and you can kind of feel this line. If you take your thumb and you come from behind it, you can kind of grab your thumb here and then gently put your fingers in front of it. So my thumb's in the back of it, and then my fingers are gently resting on top of it. And then you can do what I call, it's the international symbol for money, like show me the money, right? So if you just take your fingers and gently bring them together. So your thumb's in the back, and then your fingers gently rest. And then you just you can just gently massage. You can also just take your thumb and drag it down. And just think like stretch your neck back, stretch your neck back. And that can help alleviate the pull that happens when I protract my head out. This muscle has to reach way far forward to grab on and hold on for the ride. So you want to first bring your neck back over your spine and then gently just massage that out and soften it. So if you're having headaches from being at a computer all day, take a stretch like Karen showed us earlier, put your wings on your back, bring your head back in space, and then gently massage the sides of your neck, your SCMs, and your neck and head will thank you oh so much. So that is your self-care corner. Doc, anything you want to throw in the mix from that?
Oh, I have a lot to say about that, and that's awesome that you actually pick that muscle, because in this day and age where you're worried about breathing and you're worried about the immune system, things like that, SCM, along with 3 other muscles that is right next to it, called your scalenes.
Anterior scalenes, yes.
Yeah. So those muscles all end up, they're called your auxiliary breathing muscles. So when you go exercising and you go past the point where you're using your diaphragm to breathe and you need some extra air, these are the muscles that get engaged. So if you are used to this posture where these muscles are triggered and they are tense, then what ends up happening is you might actually inadvertently try to use those more than your diaphragm. And in the process, cause things like panic attacks and anxiety disorders and things like that, because your breathing is going to alter your oxygen levels and everything else. So it becomes very, very important for these to work only when they're supposed to. And if they're tight, the other thing that they do is they actually buckle down on the duct that actually takes all the lymphatic fluid from around your cells and takes it and puts it back towards your heart. So if it doesn't have the proper lymphatic drainage, then what ends up happening is you can actually end up with this fluid that has different viruses and bacteria that needs to get back into your lymphatic system, where your immune system actually fights and gets rid of them. And instead of it getting into your lymphatic system, it goes ahead and sits in your tissues and multiplies. So these times when we want to be on top of our immune system, it is very, very important for that lymphatic duct to remain open. And Julie might have just saved your life by teaching you how to stretch those muscles. Thank you.
You're welcome. It is something, I mean, I've been a licensed massage therapist for 13 years now, and I've had the pleasure and privilege of working on over 15,000 bodies. And I would say sternocleidomastoid, SCM, anterior scalenes is the number one issue that I work on most people. So yeah, if you can learn to do it yourself, which we can, you know, it's if we can reach it, we can help it. So awesome. Yep, and then next, so moving on to a different kind of self-care, we have our money guest for this week, talking about money matters and the health of our finances, is a dear friend of mine who I also met at a mastermind, and he was actually my buddy for 2 years. So this is a man who has a huge, huge heart. He has grown night and day into his own brand, Yoon Consulting. He's worked all over, but with hedge fund people, and he's got this like fabulous algorithmic software that he supports people that are just getting into investing in things. So he's going to chat with us a bit about going back to the basics, right, Erin? You're going to share with us, you know, where do we go from here? We've been quarantined and money's been scarce. Like, how do we jump out of this? We toss over to Erin Yoon.
I can't hear you.
You're muted.
There you go. Can you hear me now? You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So sorry about that. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me on here. Yeah, so I met Julie a couple of years ago when I was really just coming into this. I was still at the hedge fund at the time, and one of the things that I learned while working under and for billionaires is that they don't relate to money like the rest of us. And they actually have a very different relationship with money. They like stock market crashes like the one we just experienced a couple of months ago. It doesn't scare them. They have a plan for it. And oftentimes, as regular folks, we rely on financial planners or retirement planners to tell us, like, what is the game plan for stock market crashes. I think that it's pretty common knowledge by this point that markets go through cycles, and markets going down and correcting or crashing, for that's the technical term, corrections or crashes. That's actually pretty normal. So we can expect to see this kind of thing again. How do we plan for it? And the typical advice that we get, and this is the myth that I'm here to debunk for you folks here today, is that you can't time the market. You just got to go up and down with the market. You got to wait. You got to eventually the stock market will recover. So you just got to wait it out. And there's a lot of truth to what they're saying, but ultimately that's actually very, very, very bad advice. Let me just share my screen here and just show you a little, give you a visual. I think a lot of us are visual learners. And so just let me know if you can see this. Oh, did I lose you? Can you see that? Okay, great. Okay, so this is an ad, so I need to refresh the page. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a chart of the S&P 500, which is what most people think of as the measuring stick of, like, if my retirement portfolio just performed like this, I would think that I am doing a good job. That is what we're led to believe. But here's the reality of that. Let me just show you one. I just need one drawing tool to do this. And okay, let me just make that a little bit bigger. Just give me one sec. Let's begin a black line and let's make it. Okay. Let's make it much thicker than that. All right, here we go. So I just want to draw that black line. And I just want to take you through a money journey, because we're all told that, it's all about the long haul and everything like that. This is a free app that has a bunch of ads, so please excuse that. So since the year, let's say 2000 at the high point, let's say you have a retirement account that's invested in something that's going to track this kind of progression. If you recall, back in 2001, 2002, we had the dot-bomb crash that really took the stock market down. It recovered, and then around 2007, 2008, we had the housing market crash, right? I think this is fresh in everybody's mind still. That brought the market down again, and since then we've been recovering, and we're like, oh, the economy is great. Our president wants to make the stock market great again and all that good stuff, right? So here's the reality of taking the ride up and down with the market. From the year 2000 to the year 2013, right here, you made no money. All you did was lose money, break even, lose money, break even for 14 years. That's the reality of tracking the market. Now, the journey, as you go through it, if we zoom in a little bit, is you're losing money, and you call up your financial advisor and you say, hey, what do I do? What am I supposed to do here? I'm losing money. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. What do I do? Your financial advisor will say something like, well, stocks are at a discount right now, so it's actually a better idea for you to buy more. And then when the stock market goes up, where everyone's in party mode, right? So what happened here? I lost the video. It's okay. I don't need the video. So one of the things that I do is I show people how to actually time the market from top to essentially avoid stock market crashes. And I've been doing that for the past few years. We skipped the stock market crash of 2020. And we had a little mini one. I don't know if you remember in the last quarter of 2018. We were able to dodge both bullets, and without having to have you learn any kind of trading or investing whatsoever. It is done purely automated with AI. It is how the billionaires invest, and it's been a trade secret for a very, very long time. That they didn't want to, Wall Street didn't want to share that with Main Street. And we thought that was a little bit unfair. So we decided we're going to bring Wall Street caliber investing techniques to Main Street with absolutely zero learning curve, because it's 100% automated. You just have to essentially turn on the software. That's it. And fund your account, and you'll be golden. You'll be protected. The way that I like to think about this, and I want you to just keep this analogy as you take this away from tonight and let some of this information digest, is that when cars first came out, they didn't come with seatbelts because they didn't go fast enough for it to be dangerous. But as technology developed and as cars started to reach a higher and higher top speed, it became dangerous and people started dying from car accidents. And then at that point, cars came with seatbelts, and they became illegal to not have any seatbelts. Now, how come with each stock market crash, there isn't any mechanism designed for us as Main Street folks to be protected from these crashes? We don't have mechanisms in place like that unless we learn to trade professionally ourselves. That's the only option we have. Well, we decided, in the era of the internet, that is no longer a problem. We're giving you an automated algorithmic seatbelt to protect yourself to protect your retirement vehicle, I should say, from any further stock market crashes. So if you have any questions like that, I can take them on now. I think this is particularly useful for children because it's all about getting started early. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, I can take them on now.
Well, thank you, Aaron. We'll see if we get any questions in our lives. I'm looking on my Facebook feed to see.
And I had a question.
Sure.
How can children learn to basically understand the market? And because a lot of times people don't learn these things until they're adults, and then they're given inappropriate tools to use, basically. So how can kids get some early exposure?
I thank you that's a great question. Thank you for that. I feel like you set me up to talk about another very, very important topic. I think it's a tragedy that this isn't taught in school, but I also think it's very intentional that it's not taught in school, because we become much more obedient employees if we don't know this kind of stuff. So I've made it a mission, me and several JV partners of mine, we've made it our mission to really educate the parents so that they can educate their children. I attempted to come at this from a educational standpoint, like changing the curriculum of public schools, but that world is very, very political. And I thought that it would be a much more effective battle to fight, in the home rather than in the classroom. So I've made it a point of mine to talk to a lot of parents, to talk about how money works, how inflation works, how this $6 trillion stimulus bill that it isn't a cause for celebration necessarily long term. $1,200 does help us pay the bills today, but long term, we can see a exponential increase in inflation. And usually wages, like the average person's salary, doesn't keep up with inflation, which is what keeps the middle class and poor class poorer and the rich get richer. That's one of the main reasons that happens. So going forward, when parents go back to work and they say, let's say they're making a $50,000 annual salary, and they go back to a $50,000 annual salary, and they kind of stay there and they don't receive incremental raises over the next 5 to 10 years. In a decade, they can expect to be making the same amount of money, but feeling much, much, much poorer relative to the environment. And it's important to know that now so that you can do something about it today, rather than wait a decade and wonder, wait, what the heck happened? Like, why did I get screwed over? That's kind of the situation that many families were facing prior to this COVID-19 crisis. And if you're one of the unfortunate millions of people that lost their jobs, then it's just gotten worse. So we have a lot. My partners and I, we have a lot of work cut out for us.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. It sounds like we have the opportunity to really learn our numbers.
It's
math
it's actually not about the numbers.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah,
well,
that's the thing.
Percentages, as you're speaking to the rate of inflation, like to understand concepts of how that works, and maybe graphs or pictures is a better way for kids to kind of grasp it at a younger age, to see that in relationship to whatever. It could be like buttons. We used to count buttons, be like, okay, well, inflation gets this much, so now you have this many buttons.
I think that children pick this up a lot faster than we do, than adults do. And if we expose them to the idea that the value of $1 is forever changing, it's not $1 today isn't always $1. If we expose them to that concept, they'll get it and they'll understand, wait a minute, the value of $1 around me is changing, but I'm not bringing any more dollars per year in. This is a problem. And in future generations, my dream is to actually have that be common knowledge so that you can make adjustments accordingly.
Yeah. Great, Aaron. Thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
Awesome job. Oh,
yeah.
Yay. And we'll have Aaron's information posted in the chat, opportunities for you to get in touch with him, have a one-on-one conversation with him. Awesome sauce. Thank you. And our last guest this evening, last but not least, is another great friend of mine from the same mastermind group. I have so many of my mastermind buddies here tonight. Carmen, she is joining us. She is a visionary woman. She's a brilliant photographer with a heart for doggies and a heart for our aging population, specifically with dementia. So she has created, it's your own charity, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes.
She's created her own charity called Doggies for Dementia. And take it away, Carmen.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you everyone else who's come before me. It's been great. And so we'll end with some visions here. How about that? One thing I think just about everybody has now is a little production studio, right, in your hand. And we're so used to taking selfies and things, many of us, and even our kids, I know, and I go to take pictures of my grandkids, they'll actually stop and smile, like they need to stop what they're doing and pose. And so I'd like to just say we could change that a little bit. One of the things I do and I love, and I do have a foundation called Doggies for Dementia, and I really just started photographing families and helping them tell their stories so we could stop time for a second. What I realized though doing this is that most of the time people will stop and say, I don't really think I want to stop this. I don't want to remember this. I really don't want photos. I love you, but I really don't care about the photos, but we'll do it for you. And I'm really glad they did, because not a one has ever, they cling to those and just say how life-changing even having photos taken and saying they are important, this time is important, even though it's not easy. And especially as time goes on and people, the elderly and those with dementia, a lot of the people I photograph aren't with us anymore. Those photos mean the world. And it's really a part of the family stories, right? And so no matter what age you are, you know, we're looking at this time and we're thinking, I don't know if this is a story I want to remember, but it's a part of our history and it's an important part of our history. And so I'm thinking, if we're talking to people of all different ages here, what kind of pointers can I give you while maybe your kids are at home? What can we do with regard to photos? So in case you've got some at home that stop, or if you're one too, that stops in the middle and has a great pose, maybe you could stop and look at it a little bit different. And so, you know, a story, what is the story? And, you know, the story really is what happens at the time that we want to remember, and that really is part of who we are. And this time, I really don't really think this is our new normal per se. What's happening as we transition, I think that's exactly what it is, a transition time as we get to where we're going to be next, and then maybe next again. And transition times are uncomfortable and scary. And I know myself, I would love to say, great, we're going to get to a new normal and that's going to be it, because it feels good to be there versus be in uncertainty. And so a lot of people are like, let's control this and do, when in truth, you know, who knows? And maybe the last thing you think about is taking some photographs of the time. And so a few pointers here on how to use your little production studio to really get some memorable photos and retain those memories, you know, stop time. I'm going to say the first thing is you don't have to be perfect. You can write that down. You don't have to be perfect. Yes, right? Yes. My favorite photos of either my family, myself, or of other families are the ones that are candid, unexpected. They may not even be technically perfect. Do I know perfection in technology? Pretty much, yeah. But those I'd be like, yeah, I could find all kinds of things that I'd say, photographically speaking, could have been better. However, when I look at them, I feel something and I remember something, and it makes me happy, or maybe even tears of joy, or there's something that I feel. Those are the photos, especially when you got tens and tens of thousands of them. You want to keep the ones that you feel something. And that's what you're going to remember. Your kids too, all right? They're going to want to look back on times like in their home. What did it look like when I was 4 years old? What was my yard like? Who did I play with? That's part of their story. And so those things are important. And then they're not the posed ones, believe it or not, that you're going to really love. So throw away perfection, go for the candid pictures, and then I don't know if you're like me, but do you have like a bunch of photos that you're wondering, why do I have, my memory's almost full, why do I have all these photos? And what happens is somebody needs to be the keeper of the memories, so to speak, to pick out the ones that you really want to keep and keep them aside in a separate file. The others, I mean, when you get bogged down with all that stuff, you're going to miss the really juicy stuff. So when you take those and you have them, save them aside and keep them. And I, being someone who's lost photos with different computer type stuff, I have it backed up in a couple different places. So I have that. The other thing that I'm going to say, and this is a little bit old school, but yes, you can create some great video slideshows. You can do all kinds of easy stuff online. And that's all, again, online, and it's easy to lose. However, when you create like an album and you have a lot of white space in your album, so maybe you want to do it for the year or for a season or even for maybe this time of our lives, right? Pictures of your kids with their masks, pictures of you guys with your masks, then you have that made into a book or an album with a lot of white space, and ask your kids, and you do it too, write what you remember about that picture. Because then that photo album becomes really beautiful memories for everybody that's involved. And especially when you go to look, if your kids are younger and then they're a little bit older and they look at what they wrote, that was the time. That is the story. That is the time. And that's what you're going to want to remember. It's always those things that you're really going to remember versus those that we want to maybe create, that we create them ourselves. Stand here, look there, do this and that. And, you know, I do that myself when I photograph, but at the same time, then once we're in that flattering position, I go, okay, now, what can I say to make you laugh? What can I say to, because I want the natural expressions. And so that, just to sum up, you can throw away the perfection. Don't worry about being perfect. Yes. Isn't that a relief, right? Don't worry about being perfect. Somebody needs to be the keeper of those memories, to keep the important ones. And if you're the one, then you're the one. And I'm not super organized myself, but I've made a on purpose to do that, to keep those important ones, and then make yourself a family album. And there's ways you can do it really inexpensively now, and get your kids and your whole family right what those memories are, because that is going to mean the world to you. And as the children get older and they have children, and they're going to look and go, well, who is this? There's no real story to it other than the picture. They're trying to put it together. Just make it easy and do that.
Oh, Carmen, great. I love that. Thank you so much. So I will, yes, I will encourage all of our friends at home watching right now or in a replay to take Carmen's advice and her tips. So first of all, scan through your however many thousands of photos you have in your phones. And what are the maybe 3 that move you the most? Like, what brings the most emotion? And would you be brave enough to share it to the post? So when Dr. L is having this live on the replay, maybe share one of those sweet, or it could be funny, or so maybe even emotional or vulnerable. And would you put in the chat with the photo, you know, what you know, not necessarily handwriting it in in Facebook, but maybe do that, take it out, have a printing of it, and like put it somewhere, and like Carmen says, like fill in what is the thing that makes it most meaningful for you, whatever the emotion is, whatever the meaning is. Thank you so much for that, Carmen. What a great idea.
Welcome. Yeah, I forgot one important piece, if I can toss it in.
Yeah.
Why the doggies, you know, our pets. When we're playing with our pets and they're loving on us and vice versa, we kind of forget about that not being perfect, right? Because it's just love. It's just pure, it's beautiful. That's a great time to just snap some really candid photos, because nobody's thinking about being perfect then. It's just love. And that's what we want to remember. Beautiful.
Love it, love it. Yeah. So maybe if you have fur babies at home, or fish or bird or whatever kind of pet you have, let's play. Like, let's see the pictures of you and your family as you're sheltering at home with your loved fur babies. Well, thank you guys so much. So this will be like the formal ending of our show, and yet I do want to open it up. So honor your time. If those of you that have to say farewell, we'll say au revoir. But in the meantime, anybody that would like to ask any of our guests that shared tonight questions, comments, any feedback, any stories that maybe came to mind that you'd like to share, what came up for you? How anything anybody wants to ask or share? And you don't have to. I just wanted to leave the space.
Like the variety and all the information, because it's all multifactorial. Our life has so many little things on end. So it's great to see so many people in all these areas join together and come with one theme, right? And that is really to help families to be a lot better.
Yes. Yeah, great point. Thank you, Alicia. That was our vision when we created this, was, you know, we live one life, and to your point, we are multifaceted like a diamond, right? We have many faces, many aspects to what it means to be a holistic being, a whole being. And how can we get all of those systems congruent, talking to each other in harmony with one another, and it takes a village. So welcome to our village. Thanks for being a part of it, everyone.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
That was really fun to just hear everybody, and so much useful information and so much speaking from the heart. It was really fun.
Great. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, I can't wait to hear your songs.
Someday.
Awesome.
Well, speaking of songs, Laura, do you want to sing us out? No pressure. I can always put you back on Spotify. Oh, your microphone is not. No, we can't hear it. Is it not hooked into the computer? Maybe. All right. Well, if you get it, jump in. Otherwise, I'll play you right here.
You don't have a choice. You're gonna sing one way or another.
I got you, girl.
I don't want to apologize for everything that I do.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight for Be Free and Connected. May you find freedom as we continue to shelter at home together. We are virtually connected, though we're physically distant. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your lives, and look out for the links in our posts, and keep sharing. Bring your brilliance to the world. Good night.
Every inch of my body. I want to look at myself and know that I'm the most beautiful person in this entire room. I